Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Radhaa.
Welcome to August.
Woo!
Woo, we
That's
made it
exciting.
through July.
Yeah, it went by so fast. I like what happened?
It really did. It was just a heartbeat and then it was done. But so much, but yet so much happened and it felt like such a fast period of time. Like
Yes.
so much occurred.
Yes, I think that pretty much sums up the energy of eclipse season, right? It's just everything
Yes.
rapid pace.
Wrapping so many things up. I personally wrapped up so many things in July, and I'm excited about August. Now, we're still in the Mercury retrograde, and we still have actually 6 retrogrades, right now.
Well, once we have Uranus go retrograde, it's stationing now, and it
Mm-hmm.
will station retrograde actually next Tuesday, the 7th. So,
Mm.
yes, more fun in the
The
retrograde party.
the excitement never ends. I
No.
I feel like this has been a nonstop roller coaster, energetically speaking,
Yeah.
and also astrologically speaking. And could you just give us a general overview for the August, the August energy and the astrology, so we can kind of get an understanding of the theme?
Yeah, of course. I think that August is giving us so much opportunity to continue riding this wave. We have more retrograde, so we have Uranus going retrograde, and then we have our third and final solar eclipse in Leo happening, which is going to be a great final like kaboom to all of this energy. And it's just like this month is kind of like really getting into the heart of the matter. I think that we're getting to the nitty gritty details of seeing, where do we still hold ourselves back? Where do we still play small in our lives? Where do
Mm-hmm.
we still, wait for permission from some outside source to just feel good, whether that's an outside
Mm.
source in a person, a relationship, or even in an external circumstance? I think another big thing about August is trust, like there's a lot of universal support and gifts. It's so beautiful. There's some grand earth trines happening. We also have the third and final trine between Jupiter and Neptune, which is beautiful. It's such a boon to our manifestations that are happening. But, one part of manifestation, one part of, living in this reality is that aspect of trust of even
Mm-hmm.
if you can't physically see it, can you
Mm-hmm.
trust it? We've
Mm.
put it out there. We've like put it out there what we want. We've gotten really clear on our heart's desires, on what we
Mm-hmm.
value and what matters to us. And now comes the process of really refining how that shows up in our lives and trusting, like
Mm-hmm.
trusting that if we don't understand, it's because maybe we haven't had anything this great happen before. Like I think it's a
Wow.
big challenge to our attitude. I think attitude is going to be everything this month. And also I think the higher expression of Leo, that royalty, which exudes itself in the form of humility and grace and generosity. I think, really getting in touch with how much we have to be grateful for. And yeah, I think keep riding the waves like we talked about. It's just like we wouldn't
Yeah.
we wouldn't be given all of this if we weren't ready for it. Does that make
Mm.
sense? Like,
Oh, it's so true. Like I think collectively and personally, like so many of us have really been doing a lot of the inner stuff, the inner work, and we wanted this change and we wanted this shift, and even if it sometimes it looks or feels like so challenging, I know so many people that are going through major transitions in their life, and then it seems so shocking, but really everyone's been building towards transforming, and it's an inside job. Everything that shows up in your outer world is connected to your inner world, and you know it's an opportunity for us. And like you said, don't take the bait of temporary drama, because drama will be showing us will be showing up, and it's up to us, like, are we going to take the bait on it, or are we going to rise above, like the little the little things that come out of nowhere, you know, which
Mhm.
happens during this time and any time in life. And it's up to us to really choose, right? So we have to go back to the power of choice.
Yes, definitely. And I think we also have to get real with ourselves. There's going to be some squares, some intense squares. Venus is coming into Libra, which is beautiful. The
Mhm.
benefic in her home sign of
Hmm.
love and beauty and harmony. But I think it's, it's making these tough squares to Saturn and Pluto and Capricorn. And
Mhm.
basically, that means like harmony doesn't mean what it used to mean in relationships. I think collectively, we are just elevating and ascending so quickly, like you said, transforming so fast, and we have to be okay with understanding that that's also going to shift how things interdependently are going to show up. So
Mm.
relationships aren't the old model of relationships, like even going to the old model of like marriage and things like that. Like this is changing. It's no longer about like us. It's about taking personal responsibility in relationships, and then
Mm.
having that elevated friendliness. I think friendliness is like the highest form of love, right? Because it says
Mhm.
you have permission to be you and to do your work, and to know that I don't need you to, come in a certain form in order for me to be there for you. Like there's more
Mm.
space for people to be human and to have our own experience.
Yeah.
Um, and to know that like we're responsible for our happiness, and everyone else is responsible for theirs. And then, like I said, having that humility and having that grace, and just, yeah, also instant gratification is not going to get anybody anywhere this month. So that's a big thing too with this
Mm.
Venus square Saturn and Pluto. It's like, if you're trying to avoid conflict, if you're trying to, people please and get that instant gratification of like, oh, I just want to be liked by this person or in this moment or whatever, but it's not actually true to your integrity, your bigger purpose, like the work you've been
Mhm.
doing, that's not like, there will be a consequence for that. Like we'll be faced with the
Mhm.
fire of that with ourselves. That's the thing.
Yeah.
With ourselves, not
Yep.
with others, with, like you said,
Mhm.
choice.
Wow. That, I mean, that makes so much sense. And I get that. Like we all want to feel good in the moment, right? And we all want to make things, well, most of us want to have peace and make things work. But yeah, it totally makes sense because it just seems to me like the rug has been pulled underneath us about all the old paradigms, right? So and especially like you said in relationships, like, you know, it's so different now. And the way, like, it's just mind-boggling. I'm just trying to like really understand like that things are shifting in the way relationships are showing up. Like there was a traditional model that was very strong, and it seems to me like relationships are coming more from a place of like love and respect and the foundation of friendship, rather than like you're mine and I'm yours, and like, you know, the old
No, the
fashioned,
possession.
the
Oh, yes.
possession of like, it's just very different. It's just very, very different. And I think we are trying to figure out what our roles are, you know, or how we show up, or what it means to actually be in a relationship. And um it's just so different than it used to be. Like I think we had an old pattern that we used to fall into, right? I mean, as our, from our ancestors, of how it should be, and we're really breaking out of all the old molds. So we're I think we're actually actively co-creating the new relationships of the new earth, you know, and
Yeah.
that's us. We are sort of like the beta testers of, the, of this world, where we're like, okay, we're gonna try this way, we're gonna try that, we're sort of figuring out like where we stand, you know, with each other, with the world. We're redefining ourselves, so we're redefining all of our relationships, and it's, I think what's called for now is really being patient and not jumping to any conclusions. I think,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
not being like, oh, this is it, or like not jumping into any conclusions anyway. Like just,
Right.
I think trying to be like positive, but also a little more neutral, I guess, you know? Um,
I think, yeah, like almost having that curiosity and that open mind. Everything you
yeah.
just said was such a perfect description of the Earth trine between the Sun, Saturn, and Uranus that's happening this month. And that's where it's like experimentation, Uranus, you know, with our role, Sun, in these traditional relationships, Saturn. Like the systems need to change, and we need to participate with that. We need to like own this phrase, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, welcome the unknown,
abroad.
because right, like there's so much potential. I think this is kind of what I was saying earlier too, is like August feels like there's these gateways that are opening, but they aren't going to be in the ways that we're used to seeing them. So if you're looking at everything through the eyes that you've always looked through the old systems, through the ancestors, through those inherited models of perception, like you're gonna feel stuck. You're gonna feel like you're in molasses. You're gonna feel like you're working against a force. And that's on purpose. Like the universe is like, there's a new way, there's new ways. And it's like the beauty in it is that we get to manifest any reality we want, you know, like, oh my God, I think we're just becoming so powerful as co-creators. And there is a big call to like show up with responsibility in our part of that, you know?
I do notice like things are manifesting so much faster. If you call something into your life, it's showing up. We have to be clear about what we want because it's showing up. And then when it shows up, what happens? You know, what do you do with it? You know, like, where do you go with it? Like, do you want to keep it? Do you want to let it go? It really feels like it's asking us to be crystal clear about what we want. And then it's like we have to have a sort of a knowing. And so I think it's important for us to take time to really be within ourselves, because it's so true. We are manifesting like wild, and you know, if we're not clear, it can be murky when it shows up. So
it can be, and I think we're not supposed to be crystal clear right now. That's the thing about retrogrades. And I'm an astrologer, I know the astrology, and I still get lost in this. Like I still forget that there is an invitation in the midst of all of this darkness. Like, and I don't mean darkness as in like gloom and gloom. I mean dark as in like, who has a flashlight? Like I can't see right now. That's what I mean by darkness. Is it's like you're not meant to know. Like welcome the welcome the areas that feel like I thought I knew for sure that this work project was going to work out this way, and it's not. Like welcome the idea that maybe there's a different way, that it's trying to work itself out for you, and assume that everything's in your benefit, and take that take that time. Like you said, I know lately I've been doing my meditation practice. I've been adding in a second sit during the day because I can feel this energy, this heightened energy. And if it's not grounded and contained, it can just be a wildfire, you know? And I'm like, okay, I need to make sure I'm moving from a place of inner direction, like from my heart, and not just from, you know, this unconscious habitual just fear-based action, you know, where it's like just moving to move. It's like no. A master manifestation co-creator, you know, you do it with ease. You come with a sense of just like grace and this just unwavering faith and optimistic attitude, and you show up and you do what's right in front of you, and you trust. You just keep, it's kind of like keeping your head down until we'll look up, and then we'll look up at the end of the month. Like this is what I'm seeing in the astrology, is it's like keep your head down, stay focused on your personal work wherever it's showing you. And then at the end of the month, you know, Mercury goes direct, Mars goes direct, and we start to, and Saturn's going to get ready to go direct here in September, early September. So it's going to be like, we'll look up and be like, holy shit, I had no idea. Like, look how far I've come. And so, yeah, it's like trust that the small steps you're taking, those small choices have big consequences right now.
Oh my goodness. Wow. everything you're saying is like, yes, check, yes, check. And I still get that. I get that, it's about like, if you can't figure something out, out, quote unquote, out there, like just focus on what you need to do. Focus on energy, focus on, really on yourself. I think we can't get caught up in the drama outside of us. We can't afford to go down low, so low with our vibrations. Like, yeah, we feel, I felt a lot, when I first got to the Appalachians again, and I closed the doors literally on my old space and my old it was just like a safety place where I could just go in and out of all the time. And then I'm like, well, I'm making a commitment to move forward in my life, and I want to pull my energy here in one place. I don't want to be all over. I want to travel all over, but I don't want my home and my housing to be all over. I want it to be centralized to one space with where I feel the most highest vibrational resonance. But then I got here, and all of a sudden, all of these emotions washed over me. And I was like almost overwhelmed because I had made this choice and this commitment. And commitment is scary sometimes, even when you make it to yourself. I was like, I'm not willing to commit for so long to being in one place. And now I'm like, I'm committed. And it's like, I guess that was a fear of like committing. To really being in one space and centralizing myself. And now I am, and but I think it's all about us working through whatever's in front of us with love and just compassion. And then you watch it just go away. I just sat with that for like 15 minutes, and it felt like it was a tsunami. But then guess what? The water's calmed, and I felt like good afterwards.
Yes.
So, I
love that.
Yeah, sitting with whatever you have, wherever you are.
Oh, sorry. No, I love that. And I think that you're speaking from a place of experience is so powerful, because when we're in that moment where we've been triggered because we've just done something different, right? Like you did something, you made a choice, and you committed in a way that is new for you. And so when you've been avoiding that for so long, anything you've been unconsciously avoiding, like all of those feelings that you've been avoiding, because it's like, you didn't want to sit with that. Now it's going to come up. Like we have to be okay with acknowledging, like almost expecting, if I'm going to do something different, the patterns that were keeping me in the old way is going to show up, and then sit with it, because it's such a short term like process, right? It's like a detox. You're detoxing the emotional charge of what was attaching you and entangling you in those old ways. Like, and it's not forever. I love that you're speaking from experience, because it's in that moment, it feels like forever. And that's why we spin off. That's why we try to do anything to get out of it, and end up tying ourselves back into a pattern we don't want. We're ready. We're so ready. So I love that you spoke to that, and really encourage that to people, like the practices that help us ground while we process.
Yeah. It's normal, I think, for very intense emotions to come up. And it's also normal to want to run from them or find a distraction. It's normal, right? Those are normal things. And there's so much power. I think we need to know that we are so powerful that we can transmute our own, whatever's coming up, we can transmute it. And what it takes is just, I guess, back to trust again, trusting that this feeling is not going to last forever, that this feeling will dissipate if I don't run from it, if I sit with it, if I actually just like totally sink into it and let it run its course. It's actually a release, right? I think it's releasing, and allow ourselves to release we have so much stuff in our cellular memory, like old toxic residue of energy, or fight or flight, or things that got caught in our system and our nervous system when we didn't know how to handle it. And now we're really being asked, as we purge through this, we are being asked also to release these old patterns, and they're so ingrained, I think, in our system, right? And in our unconscious. And I know like there have been so many patterns in my system that, I mean, I've been unwinding for years, right? Years, and still they come up. So, I mean, like new stuff is always showing up because we are so multidimensional. And, you know, we have our lineages of 7 generations on both sides that we're also sort of clearing for. We're clearing for that, for the whole, in a sense, like the collective, and we're also clearing for ourselves, and also past, present, future, and parallel lifetimes.
Yeah.
So be
I mean, it
kind
feels
to
intense
yourself.
because it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Because it is, like, you can't avoid the
But I
fact that
think
it
that
is.
there's been a gift in this eclipse season with all these retrogrades simultaneously happening, is that we are being trained in this riding the wave, right? And mastering what's coming up, because now it's no longer like this destination addiction is almost like the root of all of it, where it's like, okay, like what if we instead started to just lean in, like you said, when something shows up, and we no longer feared the waves that came in. It was like, the experience will always happen. Like we will always have something. We're human, but our relationship to the experience, the discomfort, that is what is being asked to be transformed and changed. Because when there's less charge, when there's less fear or aversion and resistance to that coming up, then the more we can handle it with grace, and the less it has to linger. You know, it doesn't have to manifest into like a circumstance. It can just be, like you said, a 15-minute wave of emotional feeling and then gone. But that's where it takes a real, like, courage. I think it takes courage to have patience and to have that sense of like staying, you know, like sitting with yourself for a moment. And a deep level of trust, like a deep level of trust in how far you've come. I think that's the other thing a lot of my friends and I are talking about, is like, we've all been doing the work for a long time, or a lot of people have. And there's also, you know, there's a wisdom in letting it, like, not needing to always do the work, you know, like let it just be a moment. Don't make it into something. Like, you've probably seen this before, you've probably felt this before. It's probably not new, and you're probably equipped to deal with it in a way that's less time consuming, less emotionally reactive. Yeah, like I think we gotta own our stuff. Like, I think we know what we know, and it's no longer like denying our power or our knowledge. It's like, come on, like, you've graduated, and I think it's like, own it.
Yeah. I love that so much. We know what we know. We are so much wiser, I think, than we give ourselves credit for too. Because, you know, when we just stop and be with it, or when we just allow our true nature to come forth, there's just always so much wisdom there. Like, we do know, you know, and we're also figuring it out at the same time. It's like simultaneously both happening. Like, and then we also don't know.
Well,
so it's like,
that's a thing.
just trust, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's more like it's a maturity thing, really. And I think that's what August is really about. Is it's like, I think it's really worth taking a look at, where in our lives do we still play victim, and what is that, who wins? I think it's so important to ask, like, if I remain a victim to my circumstance, whatever it is, what part am I avoiding? What responsibility do I get to, like, not deal with? What part of me do I get to not have to, like, look at, because then I fear the potential shame or guilt or whatever it is. And then we sit with ourselves and we, like, own it and say, oh yeah, like, it actually feels better to not be the victim. It feels better when we take responsibility and we say, like, okay, I'm here now. I forgive myself for whatever happened that got me here. Like, I'm not going to sit and shame myself or feel terrible about myself because I manifested this reality. No, like, I'm going to just take ownership. I'm going to love myself, like, unconditionally, and decide to do something different. I'm going to decide to put my energy somewhere that is productive, that is helpful, and I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to take care of myself in the way that I can in this moment right now.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, it all comes back to that. I think we're all learning how to actually ourselves, right? maybe we're used to taking care of others, or I don't know. I just feel like people are coming back to learning how to take care of themselves, how to master the wave of this energy, like you said, you know. So it's all coming full circle, but in the process, we're just learning how to be patient and trust.
Yeah, and it'll pay off. I mean, I feel like astrologically speaking, and even just intuitively, my guys are just like, when stuff comes up and there is a temptation to buy the story that something's going completely wrong, like it seems like, oh my god, nothing's working out, I'm nothing's working, it's like, don't buy it. I think a sense of lightheartedness and humor. I mean, use Jupiter's energy right now. He's direct. He's making a beautiful trine to Neptune. He's on his way home. I think it's just like, find that benevolent joy, that curiosity, that just buoyancy of like, must be really great because I just can't see it right now. Like I've had to just come back to the nonsense and the laughter and that kind of like, I mean, I probably sound crazy because everything looks crazy and I'm like sitting here like everything's great. But that's the test, like do that.
Oh, wow. I just thank you for this beautiful advice. And like what would you say to people, as an advice that they could take away with?
For the astrology for August?
Yeah.
Yes, I would say stay grounded, stay curious, both with what's happening around you and within you. Be willing to stay open to the idea that there might be a different way of looking at something. There might be a different outcome than what we assume is coming from something. And just keep doing your work. Keep showing up with integrity and compassion, and keep taking that high road and really being responsible for how you show up. Like focus on yourself and I think experiment, try stuff out, have fun. And if something comes up that is being asked to be let go, if something's not working, the quicker you can just surrender to that, the easier, the better.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Sometimes we fight so hard to keep something, and sometimes you just have to let it go and trust again, it's always like this or something better.
Oh,
right?
For sure. It's just like we get so caught up in thinking we know what's best, and the universe right now is like, but like we know what's better. Like the universe created us. You know what I mean? It's just like, you can go out in nature. Going to like somewhere in the forest, or going to like, when I went to Lake Tahoe, for instance, it was just like, okay, yeah, my bad. You obviously know what you're doing. I'm totally going to get out of my own way now. Like, get out of your own way and have integrity this month, and you will be so amazed by how it all turns out. It will be the best surprise ending you've ever not imagined yet.
Oh, it's so beautiful. And I love this, what we wrote earlier, that the more you trust in the process, in the work in the process, the more the universe can deliver. And it's going to deliver.
Big time. Like big time.
And then you talked about like the boon of this month, which is the final trine between Jupiter and Scorpio and Neptune and Pisces. I don't even know what that means.
Oh, yeah. So Jupiter's been in Scorpio over the last year. It makes a total of 3 trines to Neptune and Pisces. These are both water signs. Both Jupiter and Neptune have to do with, like the spiritual gifts of manifestation. It's almost like Spirit is just begging to give us these gifts of abundance, and through connection. It's water sign, so it's a lot about connection and really going with the flow, and just feel good feelings. I think this final trine is just kind of like we have our part when it comes to co-creating with the universe. We have to show up how we show up, and then we also have to get out of the way. And when there's a Jupiter trine Neptune, it's like, and it's on the day that Mercury is stationing direct on August 19th. It's like, trust, because as soon as Mercury goes direct, it's like, then you're going to see something that you couldn't see until then. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, Spirit had my back the entire time. And I just needed to just trust.
Oh, that's so beautiful and so sweet, yeah, it is beautiful. The process unfolding, part of it is just also being in surrender. And sometimes that can feel a little bit like free falling because we always want to be in control. I mean, that's how we've been trained, right? Um, but it's a combination between co-creating and surrendering. And it's an interesting balance. I think it's so important. We're really like I feel like on a tightrope, just sort of figuring out how to co-create and how to surrender, like how to put forth our manifestations and then you know let go and have the trust. And sometimes things don't look the way we want them in that moment, or they don't feel the way we want them to in the moment. But really, the way I've been trying to look at things is like with longer term vision, not just short term gain, not just short term gratification. Because, yeah, like you said, it's not going to work this month anyway. So,
well, yeah. And I think
might as well.
I mean, that's where I think it's like, okay, things don't look the way I want them to, or I'm not looking at things the way I need to. Like, I think that's the thing. It's like perception.
Yeah.
Elevate your perception. Like, what's your vantage point? Like, how are you looking at all of this? Is it in your favor? Is it helping you? And if it's not, are you open to changing how you're looking? Like, are you willing to say, maybe I can't see it because I'm looking at it through, these outdated lenses? And I mean, Jupiter and Scorpio is like, it gets real. It's like, it's not just our desires that we say we want that are like pretty. Like, Scorpio's like the deeper hunger and desires are authentic, like you said, long lasting, what's true to our soul. It's like a soulful integrity to what we want. And I think that yeah, we have to be willing to prioritize the values that we personally have and trust. I think it's all been this whole, Mars retrograde too. It's all been about authentic self-expression and, really being confident in who we are and being free to be ourselves and our individuality and like owning our place, and not, and knowing that like we don't have to conform to fit. Like, that's such a false thing. And I think it's like, I wrote on this the other day. It's like, if you don't fit in the group you're in, maybe it's the wrong group, And I think it's, yeah, I think it's powerful. I mean, August is like, everything's aligning for you, everything. And if it's falling apart,
so
it's falling into place. Just trust it.
I love that. Yeah, sometimes when things fall apart, they're just falling, the right things are falling together. And that's why it doesn't always look like it in the moment. But yeah, this is such a beautiful conversation. Thank you. I guess, we're being asked to also keep our hearts open and like you said, not non-attached to outcomes. So by the end of the month, this wave of momentum will take you beyond your wildest dreams. And that is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It's, we need this inspiration. Sometimes we have great days and sometimes we need a little reminder. So this was a great way to share with people that, hey, you know what, just keep going, keep focusing on what's good, keep focusing on what you want to create, be patient with yourself, allow emotions to come up, don't run from them, sit with them and let them wash through you. It may feel like a tsunami in the moment, but it will pass, like everything does. This too shall pass. And we are making momentum, we are making progress. Everything is moving forward, and sometimes it looks like it's moving backwards, but that's just part of the
Yeah.
process. So, you know, I want to encourage our listeners to keep the it's not like just positive thoughts, but really be optimistic. Be optimistic that things are working out in your favor,
Mm-hmm.
and they will. And it does take a mindset. Like, you have to switch the mindset. Maybe if we've had old negative thinking for so long, that's what our brain neurons have become accustomed to, and it becomes very addictive. We actually crave pain when we've experienced so much of it and had become accustomed to it from our childhood. It creates neurons that are activated and constantly seeking the same pain points over and over again. And what I have to say to that is that you can shift your brain patterns. um, you know I've done that to
Mm-hmm.
myself, so I
Yeah.
know. I was addicted to pain at one time, and I was addicted to a lot of things that were very toxic. And it came to a point where I was just like, enough is enough. I don't even want to go on. If this is it, I don't want it. And I had to make some serious shifts within myself and take responsibility that the only person that could shift that was me. And I started my healing journey because of pain. So, pain is a catalyst for change, but you've got to make the change. You got to take the action. You have to take the initiative and be the one who wants to shift. And guess what, my brain pattern has
Yeah.
totally shifted. Now I'm seeking something different. I love beauty, joy, love, a positive. It's seeking positive reinforcement. And you can shift your brain. It's not impossible. It's not just like something you have to live with forever and be tortured by. Like, you can shift yourself. I'm telling you, you can create new neurons in your brain. And like I said, I'm choosing to be happy no matter what. It doesn't mean I don't feel sad or have bad days, but I'm still choosing to be happy despite those bad days or despite the sadness that
Mm-hmm.
comes up, right? It's a choice. It's always a choice. We must choose over and over and over and over and over and over again and again and again. And it's like retraining your entire brain and your systems and your neurons, and growing new neurons that are attracting positive things that you want, because your brain will learn how to receive more light. And one of the things I do in my practice is like, I bring light into the brain and like wash it with this light. And you can do this yourself. You can do this on your own, where you literally like go into meditation and you call upon the highest light to come through into your brain, and you literally start washing your brain, from this dark matter, whatever you want to call it. And you have to be the one to be consistent with yourself in
Yeah.
your life,
I mean,
right?
and for me, my mantra, especially this summer, has just been, I'm on my side. And so I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
choose the next best thought that I can. I think we can't decide
Yeah.
what thoughts enter because they just come in, like but we
Yeah.
can decide which ones stay. And so it's like, be on your, like, do it for you. Like you said, like, you want to feel better, do it. Like, do it for you. Take that power and use it, channel all of this energy that we leak and the silly dramas and the
Mm-hmm.
silly irritations and the, oh, my travel plans didn't go the way I wanted. It's like, you could get really upset in that. You could sit in that, or you can
Mm-hmm.
redirect your energy. You can do that and
Mm-hmm.
feel better when you do. Like, that's, don't deny
Yeah.
yourself that benefit of choosing your
Mm.
reality. Yeah, I think that it's like, and then also not needing to call other people out when they aren't doing that. We're all on our own path and we're all in our own place, and
Mm-hmm.
we're all going to have days where that's easier than others, and it's just like holding space for ourselves and for others, and really being a leader by example and not by preaching, not by
Mm-hmm.
forcing or manipulating or trying to like say, don't become dogmatic and say that everybody needs to be positive all the
Yeah.
time. It's like, just focus on yourself and chill. Yeah.
So true. I mean, I think that's a lot easier. A lot less drama. We have to have a conversation in the future about spiritual dogmas, but that's a whole nother
Yeah.
story. I'd love to have that conversation with you. But thank you so much for all of this information. And just to clarify, we are going to have one more eclipse this month.
On August 11th, we'll have the new moon solar eclipse in Leo. Yes, it will be, next weekend, right after we have our Uranus stationing retrograde, Venus enters Libra, and we also have the inferior conjunction between the Sun and Mercury retrograde next week, right before. So that's the point. It's like midpoint of Mercury retrograde cycle, and that's always kind of our moment of aha, I think I might be seeing what this Mercury retrograde's trying to reveal to me. So it's beautiful that that's happening right before the solar eclipse, because it's kind of take that medicine, take that awareness, and then use it to plant seeds of intention to really blast off these things that we're trying to manifest. Leo is all about the heart, it's whatever you're passionate about. You might see clearly a few days, next week, we might start to gain some clarity about here's where I need to put this attention. Here's where I need to redirect this. Here's where the attitude or perception shift needs to come in. So that the final solar eclipse, and I've been listening to a lot of other astrologers talk about this too, that the time between the eclipses is sometimes the most intense, because it's when we're integrating the energy surges that we have at the eclipse times. And so that's why this week it's been, we've been feeling a lot, and into next week, these are the times where we have to put it to the test, where it's all the stuff all the intentions we've been planting, all the changes we're manifesting, and then those in between times, it's that's where we have to show up, and show up and maybe take a few naps. That's the other thing, self-care to the max. What do you need to give yourself to relieve this? It's not just disciplinary, have a better attitude. It's love yourself, take a nap, give yourself a break. What do you need? I've been having to go out in nature more. I am resting more, drinking more water. Take good care of yourself, just like you would if you had a child or someone you love,
Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet and important. Yeah. Self-care is definitely needed right now. And it gave me the chills when you told me that the most intense times are in between the eclipses, because I was like, oh, I feel that. I was like, oh, I really feel it. Yeah. And it's just nice to sort of I guess call it out for what it is, because it's not such a mystery, right? It's okay, this is integration time. I get it. It's all good.
Yes.
Exactly. So, wow, beautiful. Thank you so much for all of this astrological information and for all of your wisdom. Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks to our listeners for joining us. We love you. And do you have anything you'd like to say to them before we leave?
Just keep going and try to find as much joy in the journey as you can. Thank you so much, Radhaa. Yeah. This was so much fun, as always. I could talk to you forever.
I know. It's wonderful to come together. We're all coming together, I think, in higher vibe ways. So thank you for joining me, Sarah, and have a beautiful month, you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.